Every time he's appeared at a public event in recent years, Prince Andrew somehow managed to find his way to the front. Even at his last appearance, the funeral of Queen Elizabeth's cousin, the Duchess of Kent, he was seen trying to engage family members in conversation. Some did, but others, like Prince William, clearly would rather Andrew was somewhere else. The Prince had kept using Duke of York and his knighthood, even though he had stepped down as a working royal. This week, however, his brother the King decided enough was enough. The reason, more claims this week about Andrew's friendship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Stories that he'd kept in touch after saying he'd cut all contact. Then, from his principal accuser, Virginia Giuffre, who was in this now infamous photo from 2001, more details this week about the sex she claims she was forced to have with Andrew, which are in a book she wrote before she died by suicide. At Buckingham Palace this evening, senior courtiers met and thrashed out a plan. With the King's approval, Andrew was told he had to drop all his titles, otherwise it would be done for him. So the palace issued a statement from Prince Andrew. "I am a distraction," he admitted, and said, "With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honours which have been conferred upon me." So what does it mean? He will no longer call himself a knight. He was a royal member of the Order of the Garter, and whilst Andrew hasn't been filmed in his robes and plumes for several years, he still had the title. Similarly, he will no longer be known as the Duke of York. His mother, the late Queen, conferred the dukedom on her son on his wedding day. It will stay with him, however. Only a change of law can remove it, but Andrew will no longer use it.
Really, it is enough, and something had to be done. And it is the King's doing, backed up by Prince William. They couldn't go on anymore with having this sort of erosion of the monarchy's reputation because of the Duke of York's behaviour.
It also means a firm no to any further appearances at the royal family Christmas at Sandringham. He is simply not welcome, although it's been made clear his daughters Beatrice and Eugenie still are. As for his ex-wife, who still used the courtesy title, the Duchess of York, she will now only use Sarah Ferguson.
The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted,
you stayed with him.
I stayed with him. And that's the bit that as it were, I kick myself for on a daily basis.
It's been downhill for Andrew's reputation since his disastrous Newsnight interview in 2019. His mother acted after that interview and made him step down as a working royal. But Andrew had not gone away as a problem. The King is now hoping he will.
Well, Chris is here to take us through this sort of dramatic moment this evening. There'd been a drip of stories. Why has it actually happened, though, tonight?
Yeah, and look, he's never really been out of the headlines, has he, despite stepping down as a royal working royal in 2019. But there are some significant events next week, and had something not happened now, following, as you say, some even more revelations recently, it might well have overshadowed that. What do I mean by next week? Well, there's a very important arguably very historic moment going to happen in Rome when both the King and Queen will meet the new Pope, Pope Leo, and pray together. That in itself, anyone knows their history, is very important, given that the heads of the Roman Catholic Church and the heads of the Church of England will be in the same place praying at the same time. The book that Virginia Giuffre, Prince Andrew's main accuser, wrote before her death is due out on Tuesday. Now, had the Prince still had these titles and still called himself a Sir or a Duke, it might well have continued to be a problem. And I think Buckingham Palace simply knew that they'd had to do something, they had to act, and that's why Friday night was chosen as the time to do it.
And what next then for Prince Andrew? All of those titles gone. We've got to get used to just using that single one left.
Yeah, interesting. Gone in the sense that he hasn't had them removed from him. He still basically has them. He just won't use them anymore. And actually, I spoke to an MP tonight who wants to change the law to say, actually, I still want this law because I want these titles taken away from him. But as you say, what happens about where he lives? Well, he still lives in Royal Lodge in Windsor. The King can't get him out of there. He's got this lease with the Crown Estate, so he will stay there. But a good question, what does he do? I mean, he's relatively relatively young. You know, I've been told before that he spends a lot of his time during the day just gaming. But do you know what? A senior palace courtier said to me tonight, well, that was a busy day, but it ended well. And as far as the palace is concerned, this is what they wanted.